Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I think today we're going to work on my 73 or 74 Moto Guzzi Eldorado, California, whatever you want to call it. We're going to start sorting through some parts and figure out what is going on with the electrics in it, what kind of parts I need to order, what I have, what's good, what's wrong, what's right, who knows. I've found some wiring diagrams online. We'll use them to help us try to figure some stuff out. So it has a spring, a little metal like ferrule down in there, and then that boot. I had this pigtail in my electrical parts drawer. Thought maybe I could use it, but the spring setup's a little different. So I went to the parts store and found one for a dual. Of course, I opened it up in the store and picked through it. But I found one for an 1157 bulb that has two elements in it, and I think I can make this work. Just pull one of the whole setups out. I'm hoping this spring will have enough pressure. If not, we can use the original one. It's not real helpful. I really can't feel the end of that thumb. There it went. Let's hook up some test wires and strip that back a little bit and see if it works. I happen to have another motorcycle battery sitting around, so just got it rigged up with some test leads, and it does. Let's see if the other side's that easy. This one's a little worse for the wear, and it doesn't have the fiber disc in there. Don't know that that necessarily makes a difference, but this other setup does. I can just steal it out of this one. Yeah, because it likely could short out if I didn't have that. So I'll go ahead and cannibalize this pigtail, and we'll use that disc out of here. So it turns out, got this side together, tested it, and didn't work. That bulb checks good with the meter, but it doesn't work. So let's try a new bulb. All right, we're going in. Here in my attic is the fairing that I guess was installed on this bike at one point in its life. I have no interest in putting that thing back on, but I am going to pull those turn signals off and see if they're usable. So there they are. That is some quality wiring right there. The other side is the same way. There's a crimp connector, and then the rest of it's twisted. Makes no sense. These say Lucas, England, so it's possible these might be the original ones. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but at least on this drawing, or maybe it's a photo, it looks like it has that shape, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing, well, I know I'm missing the front bracket that'll attach them. But I can probably make that. I'll see if we can make these work. This one's a little rattly, so we'll see what's going on there first. Oh, she's a little crusty. Oh, there's a screw missing. The heck? Now it's missing because it's all blown out. Of course, that shit's not going to come through there. At least with this one, I can make a joint in there, add some wire to it. Have to cut that off. So I soldered on another piece of green wire to extend it and put it back together. I glued where it was broken out, and let's see if it works. So apparently this plastic housing, the chrome is conductive because it works. So there we go. I'll see if I can fix the other one and we'll have a set. Now this one's even better. We had a splice inside. Great. Let's see how I can fix this. What do you want to bet? Another twisted connection? Yes, it is. I could just not get this to solder properly. It's almost like that wire is really dirty and I don't have any paste flux. So I took apart one of my other universal light deals and took the pin and the wire out of that. Part of the problem with these is they've run this hollow stud up in there too far, so the light doesn't sit flat. It's kind of cocked the whole time, so I've backed it out of the housing, but now that nut is seized right there. So I'm trying to get it further down. I'll put some PB blaster on it. But let's see if it works. So while we're checking out lights, I have the original tail light. Let's see if it works. There's two wires, so I'm assuming one's brake light, one's tail light, and license plate light. Should be a 2-filament bulb in there. I'm assuming it just grounds through these bolts. Nothing on either one. The battery's good. Just make sure the bulb's good. So that lens looks like it's been obviously on there for a long time, so it does not want to move. Let's see if we can tap on it and get it off there. I don't want to use anything metal. Let me try a piece of wood. We'll probably have to put it in the vise and we'll try tapping on it again. This is in pretty good shape, so I don't want to damage it. Ha! I guess the gasket might have been stuck. And that bulb has both filaments gone in it. I should have another one. The bulb actually says CEV on it, so that's likely the original lamp for this thing. But I do have a regular 1157 bulb. Thing looks good inside too. I'll probably clean that reflector up before I put it in. Or at least I put the lens back on. Let's make sure it works. See what that does. So I guess a little brushing will get it. Whoops. So while we're on electrical stuff, I went to Tractor Supply, got a battery for this. This is pretty much a lawn tractor battery that fits in there, and I had a gift card, so it was essentially free. While we're on electrical stuff, let's see what happens. Make sure no smoke comes out of this. Obviously, these round terminals aren't going to fit on there, so I'm going to vice grip it. I already have the negative side vice gripped on, and based on how green that is, I'll probably cut these off and get big ring terminals and crimp on there so I can bolt that connection. Let's see what happens. And over here on the side, the key is in the off position. There's no big arc, so let's use the makeshift battery terminal. Let's turn the key to on. Nothing. Well, actually, wait a minute. If you look at the dash, the first position, nothing happens. Second position, I get dash lights. I have all three. That's cool. I don't want to run this engine, but let's see if it cranks. Just out of curiosity, let's pull a spark plug and see if we have spark. And there does not appear to be any spark. Hooked up my test light. So, can we see this? This is the negative side of the coil that goes to the distributor. That's the positive side. So right now it's grounded because the key's not on. Turn the key to on. First position doesn't do anything. Second position is apparently power, so it'll start. So there is power to the coil, but if I move it up to here, to the negative side, now it shows there's power there too. That's kind of odd. It could just be the position of the points. Let's see what happens. All right, it doesn't switch. Just like a car, a little cap and rotor in there. And there are points. It's been a long time since I've worked with points. The ignition switch is on, so the points are hot, and that side is grounded. So obviously we have power there. So I'm going to take some sandpaper and dress the surface right there of the points. Just happened to find this little tiny nail file the other day. Key back on. All right. So if memory serves me correctly, we should see this alternate. It does not. Power on the points and ground on the opposite side, but the points are actually off the lobe right here. Let me turn the key off. They're off the lobe, so I'm going to pull these out if I can. So even when they're all the way closed, they're obviously not making continuity, and that's why it's not sparking. These points are pretty much two-piece, so I have sanded and filed and sanded, and they should make good contact now. Let me get them back in there. The book I have says 16 to 18 thousandths, so right there, 16. Come on. That's pretty good. Or 0.4 millimeters. They just don't make magnets on lights. They make them just quite not strong enough. Just enough to piss you off. That's just my 2 cents. Or maybe they just make them not strong enough just to piss me off. All right. Okay, key on. Power to the points. You should have ground on this side. Let's see what happens this time. I can actually see it arcing that time. It may be too fast for the test light. Put all the cap and rotor back on, and then we'll try for spark again. Put a little oil down here. A little wick. Helps lubricate everything down below. It looks a little crusty, so it wouldn't hurt. And that looks pretty good inside. I'm guessing that ground will be good enough. All right, there is spark there. I don't know if you can see that, but there is spark. So now we know, at least when we put this back together, that at one point in its life it had spark. So as part of the discussion of electrics, we have this kind of disaster of a headlight bucket and fuse box distribution block, because apparently this headlight obviously had to stay on here when that gigantic fairing was on. So I think this thing filled up with water and it sat that way for a while. And plus it's dented and scraped up. As luck would have it, another box of parts turned up. So let's check that out. In this box of parts is the air cleaner assembly minus the boot that connects the carburetors. I'm going to have to make something there. It could stand a little cleaning, and there's no filter element. A new used headlight assembly, which has the bezel and the light, obviously. It does have another light switch on top, which it fell off. It's broken. But exterior wise is about the same as one we have. There's no dents, only some grommets, but we'll open that up in a minute and see what it looks like inside. Side covers, I have never seen chrome ones before, so I don't know if those have been chromed or if that's an original deal. It says $850 on that one. I cleaned it up a little bit. That one said $850 at one point, and it almost looks like the chrome's flaking, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. And what I believe to be well, they're the mirrors off of it. I don't know if they're the right ones. I haven't looked real close. And these big balls on the end. Not sure what the big balls are for. But there's two of them. Let's open this up and see inside. So that is about 1,000 times better. That's immaculate. As immaculate as something that's almost 50 years old can get. But I think that was a headlight switch or some sort of switch. That's what fell off the top where that knob was up here. There we go. Obviously, we'll be reusing that. But we'll be using this to swap out for that. So in the meantime, since I've kind of gone down a slippery slope with painting items here, I'll go ahead and sand this and go ahead and paint it. I took this new headlight, put some paint on it. Obviously it is way better shape, the fuse box, distribution block, all that. So this is going to replace the existing one. All of this wiring went to this plug, which went to the Vetter fairing. So I'm just going to peel all that out of there. Some of these go up to the dash. Some of these I don't know what they do. So what is connected, I'm going to try to mark, and then I'm going to pull all this crap out of here and get the new headlight in and shove back in what belongs. Obviously some of it's just bad. Like for instance, there's one wire right here. This is the only one hooked up on this whole mess, and it's twisted together. So I'm going to clean some of this stuff up and try to strip out what I know. What I know is kind of a disaster, and then we'll go from there. I don't know how much I can show because you're pretty much going to see my hand all in there. So I got the old headlight bucket out of there, labeled everything, made a little road map, took out what went to the old fairing, cut a few that didn't go anywhere. I also went to the auto parts store, the green one, and found these grommets. It was this kit right here. This one isn't good enough shape. I'm not going to mess with it. And then I went in, inspected everything in here, and also marked the top, how they're bussed together. So these two are together. All those ones in the middle are, and then the ones on the end are separate. And I checked the headlight out, and it actually works. So now, we'll see if we can get this thing put back on there. So once everything's put together, I left my labels on in case something went awry, so I'll have my makeshift wiring diagram. But it's all back together. I did turn the key on and nothing smoked. I need to figure out what this black wire is for. And this red wire going to the back. I don't know if it's another power feed and it goes on a different fuse. I'll have to trace that one out and figure that out. But anyway, that's what we ended up with. Now we actually have a functioning headlight plug. I also cleaned up those fuses and reused them, checked continuity, they were all good. Here's what it looks like with the headlight installed. Actually sort of looks like a motorcycle at this point. I need to find some sort of gasket to hold the headlight in because that happens if you don't have something pressing back on it. So I'll figure that out in a later installment. And I need something to fill this hole. But we're getting there. We'll sort out the rest of the electrics in a later episode. Obviously, need to do something with other lighting controls, and then we'll have to figure out what all needs to come out of there or get fixed in there. So anyway, I think this one's getting long enough. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments about this video, share them. I know there's not a lot of content on these bikes that I've seen on YouTube. So if you want this longer, shorter, whatever, let me know. Thanks.